What's up, guys? On today's agenda is moving this industry area to the designated spot over here. We are also momentarily about to hit the next milestone, which is Big Town. So Big Town is most important for me because I want this high density, and we are definitely going to be using this high density. This is going to be the core of the city that we're making here and expand outwards from here. So I'm probably going to replace all of this inner section here with high density. So, looking at our needs, I'm just going to very quickly fulfill those down here, and it also looks like we've got some new buildings, namely the university and the prison. Probably shouldn't put the two of those next together. So, firstly, why are we even moving this industry section? This industry section was put here very much as a temporary measure, just so that we can get up and running with the city and we could just fulfill those needs. The reason this is not a good area is, firstly, for good industry infrastructure for your city, the industry section needs its own on-off ramps to the motorway. And as you can see here, it actually has to use the main junction of the city to do that. Now, we could put a little on-off ramp here, but look how close these two this junction and this junction is. Trying to squeeze another one in there is doable. However, if the traffic does start to get bad, it's going to back all up in this place, okay? So we are going to very slowly move this section over to this section. But first of all, I'm going to pop in a quick university. We do have this one available to us, which I really do like the look of. However, we've been using the futuristic primary school, high school, and I believe I do have a model for Futuristic Town University, which looks pretty cool. It's a pretty weird egg. So, whereabouts do we pop it? Now you can see if I open up the white space here, when I put it next to a road, it highlights in green, and that is the catchment area that it can basically fulfill. So looking at this kind of catchment area, we want it fairly central, and then later on, when we want to build a university campus with that DLC, we can destroy this university or just turn it off and migrate the students over to that. Now, I'm thinking I would quite like it involved in this park over here. We'll pop it there for the moment, and if it doesn't look right once we've got all the high density around the place, we can always move it later on. The other thing that we have at our disposal is recycling centres. I did say previously that I want to change this landfill site, which was just the cheap option, over to recycling centres. And you can see 15 trucks out of 15 in use, and we're at 85%. So now is the ideal time to set up our recycling centre. Now I'm just going to have a look at the processing rates and how much these cost. I think I'm going to use the large one. They're not that large, but they're fairly large, and it actually fits perfectly in there, so I'm just going to pop it there for the moment. I might end up moving this because I do have some other plans, but we'll talk about that in a second. Now, the only other thing that I definitely need to address is something that I noticed at the end of last episode. I used Anarchy to make these junctions here, and I noticed that there's something odd about them. The traffic slows down a lot just to move into this little section. So opening up the traffic manager mod, I can do things like turn off pedestrians with this button and then tell them with this button to go straight on through and don't stop. I can just about select this one, but I can't seem to select this one here, which is the only one that I actually want to, tell them to go on through. And another thing is it drops down in speed. And then I realized what was going on. I've used the Anarchy mod to pop these in to make them look nice and neat. You can also notice that the zebra crossings, or the pedestrian crossings, whatever you want to call them, look a bit wonky, look a bit weird. So I was trying to work out what was going on, and then using the Move It mod, I found out what was going wrong. There's actually two nodes on top of each other, and that was because I used the Anarchy mod, and instead of joining it to the same node, it just created two nodes on top of each other. So I'm going to very quickly sort that out by deleting this road here, deleting this tunnel here. Using the picker mod, I'm just going to grab our tram road again, pop this in, and now we've got two broken lines underground. To avoid the same problem happening again by using the Anarchy mod, and bear in mind the only reason I used the Anarchy mod was to make it look much neater, so how we can avoid doing that is just thinking about it slightly differently. So going to the node that we were using before, without Anarchy on, I'm just going to place a one-way road going this way and then going this way. Then I'm going to connect them up make sure the roads are facing the right way. Then using the Move It mod, make it look nice and neat. As you can see, it's only one node. Now I can tell them don't cross here, go straight through, go straight through. And now we can see they should just flow straight through without stopping. Perfect. I'm going to very quickly do the other ones, so just bear with me and I'll be right back. There was only the two that were like that, the other one was perfectly fine. I'm going to start decommissioning some of this industry and then get the need bill back up and then start filling it in over here. The other thing I would like to do is decide how we're going to add a dedicated on-off ramp for this entire industry section that we're going to be popping down here. And it's going to be quite a large industry section that I'll be building, and using the infrastructure pattern that I'm going to show you will create an infrastructure that will cause very little traffic and should keep everything moving nice and smooth. Looks like we've got some need for energy. I'm going to quickly pop one of those down. I think we've got access to oil plant. We don't have a ton of money right now. By a ton of money, I've got a really cool asset that I really want to use. This one here, the Tesla Gigafactory. Now it's really expensive at $1 million, so I'll only pop this in once we've got the spare money. But the amount of power output at 2,800 should be more than enough for a very large city. So we'll talk about that more when we get round to that kind of size of city. For the meanwhile though, just an oil power plant, and I'll pop it down here. So let's talk about this junction then. We are going to have another junction over here, by the way, because this, as we saw in the first few episodes, has a ton of oil over here. So we're going to be absolutely utilizing that. So I'm expecting another junction over here, and keeping frequent junctions on and off at regular intervals should mean that it relieves a lot of pressure of traffic on your main junctions. And right now we're going to build one for the industry. I have found on the Steam Workshop a really cool asset. Here it is. It's called Black Widow Simple Highway Exit. Feel free to search for this and you should be able to find it yourself. I think it looks really cool. It's something different. I have no idea if it's going to work properly. I've got some ideas how to improve it, but if it doesn't work, we can always strip it out and pop something like this in, maybe something a bit more compact than that, because this is only meant to be a small junction. It's not meant to be a main one. Even though this looks like it could probably service a main one, we'll see how it works out, and hopefully it's just a cool feature to the city. Now, in terms of alignment, I'm going to be putting some large industry roads down for arterial roads, just to keep the traffic moving a lot quicker. So I'm thinking around here somewhere. Let's go with them. Not sure how well this is going to work considering how tight that angle is. We'll give it a go and see what happens. Normally I like this, I like to give a good run up so that they've got plenty of space. Just in case traffic gets a little heavy, it should just allow for a bit more wiggle room in terms of how busy it can get. Okay, that's good enough for now. I was getting a little OCD about some of the sloping of this to make it look as natural as possible and making sure that none of this was clipping. If this does end up annoying me, I might redo this. I'll have a think about it. With a shift click, just making sure I've set up the roundabout correctly and making sure that I've got all the lanes over here set correctly. As you can see, just making sure they don't cross over, which we discussed in a previous episode. Going to finish up doing the arterial roads. I want to make sure that I leave enough room to put in a cargo train. Now, I don't think we actually have the population. No, we don't actually have the population yet for trains. We're not far off, so I'm going to finish up doing this arterial road and then I'm going to get the simulation running again, just so we can try and skyrocket up to that very quickly. That's the arterial road popped in. Excellent. So I'm going to pop the simulation on fast. I'm going to make sure we fulfill any needs. And whilst we're waiting for that, we have got not just the industry roads we can upgrade, we also have some nice pretty roads with trees now. So previous to this, my favourite has always been this one with the double trees. I just think it looks really good, especially in a residential area. Makes them super happy, reduces pollution, looks great. However, it doesn't have any parking and does have an influence on the area around it. Each of these that I've got with trees or with grass doesn't actually have any parking at all. So I popped onto the Steam Workshop and I found just a couple here, one with a grass median, one with nothing on it at all, and one with grass and trees, which looks like this. So whilst we're waiting for our population to increase, which won't be too long till we've got the trains, I'm just going to run around the city and pop these in. You can see the citizens getting nice and happy when I do this. Right, I think that's all of them. I always find it funny whenever I do this upgrading of all the roads. Then when the city is absolutely massive, I end up finding just one little road somewhere, one little dirt track in the middle of all these skyscrapers. It's always quite amusing to find one. In fact, I've just spotted one. Here it is. Oh, looks like we need to use Anarchy for that. That's not a problem. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I've got all of them now. No more dirt tracks for the city, making it look very, very smart indeed. Just that giant egg towering over the city. Are we even a city yet? I don't think we are actually. Let's have a quick look. No, we're still a town. But next up is small city. So we are now officially... There we go, small city, excellent stuff. So now we have got not just trains, we've got some monorails as well, which I really want to use in this city. What else do we have then? We've got a yoga garden for health. I think that's about it for all I want to use. Not going to use a hydropower plant just yet. Although we do have one, if you remember from the first couple of episodes, we do actually have one over here, which is super cool. Okay, so we have got some need for some industry and we've just put in a load of space for industry. So let's link up some of these roads, and while we're at it, I'm going to upgrade some of the dirt roads to the industry ones. We have our industry infrastructure. You can see I've used a very similar inner pattern to this, with the arterial roads going straight in and out. Once this is all full of industry area, you'll see that the traffic is barely anything, especially considering how much industry creates traffic. We do have a need, so let's pop some in. Depending on how busy this road gets, I might get rid of some of the industry that is directly onto the road, maybe pop in some offices because they create next to no traffic whatsoever. So let's have a think about our cargo train. The line's up here. I want it to run directly down here and line up with this canal. Okay, as promised, landfill site, no more room. So let's set that to empty, and also at the same time, I'm going to pop down another large recycling centre over in this area over here. I think there will do. So we've got one there to service this area, one here to service this area, and then we'll probably need another one over here to service this area. The thing I haven't done yet actually, and this is always good to keep this in mind. We've massively expanded the residential area over here, but I bet you anything, if we take a look at school availability, absolutely shocking. That's for elementary, this is for high school, and this is for university. So all very poor around here. Let's pop in a few of these just to try and keep them happy. And also it's so that the commercial areas don't start complaining that there's not enough educated workers. So we've got one there, one there. Even then, because now we're using high density, that is still not enough schools. So we'll pop another one here. Let's set up our cargo terminal for this area. Oh, look at that. Absolutely perfect. I was expecting to have to use the Move It mod here just to get that as close as possible to the canal, but fits in one. Looks like we need to do a little bit of terraforming there, but that's not a problem. Let's get the line in first. Now, do we go over or do we go under? Let's go over today. Okay, so a couple of top tips for you when doing train junctions like this. First and foremost, zoom in and make sure that these connect. Sometimes there's an example. Sometimes you'll make it and they don't quite connect. This time when I've done it, it's actually done it in one go, but just zoom in, just make sure that these are connected exactly how you want them to be. The second tip that I can give you, so the actual stretches that makes the triangle, the actual junction itself, you need to make sure that that stretch, one of these stretches, can fit at least an entire large train on it. Otherwise, when trains are trying to turn left and right, if they are longer than the section you've given it, they can actually clog up the junction, and then the entire map, the entire train tracks across all of the map will clog up with trains. So I've given it plenty of space here, so we shouldn't actually experience any problems. So let's have a look over here. It looks like we've got power because of the recycling center here. The recycling center is actually facing the wrong way for my liking. I like to have the entrance and exit away from the main road, so they're forced to go around here. It's just trying to free up as much traffic as possible for this arterial road. You may have also noticed for this train station, for the access for this train station, I've used a 2-lane one-way road that goes round like that, so that just to keep the traffic moving, so they shouldn't ever have to stop. I'm thinking that looks pretty good. We're expanding nicely. The industry section is looking really good, and we've got plenty of room to expand to its heart's content. We've given it its own cargo terminal, so that will save on a lot of traffic going in and out of the city. The other bit of traffic that we can definitely save on is, let's just stop and think for a second. The industry section creates goods. Those goods are taxed heavily so that we create lots of money. They're also shipped in and out of the city. We have accounted for those needs so far, but the other thing that industry does, it creates goods for the commercial zones to sell as well. So now we've got all the industry in this one big section over here, and it's going to get bigger, as well as the oil industry that we're also going to build. How does it get their goods from the industry to the commercial? It's driving. I mean, literally, if we zoom in right now, there are multiple trucks here that are shipping goods from the industry to the commercial. How can we save on some of that traffic? Well, we can utilize the cargo terminals for that as well. So if I say we've got a nice big commercial area here, and they're literally driving through the city, creating more traffic. If we pop another cargo terminal over here, what will happen is the industry will drop off their goods at this terminal, then the train will ship those goods around our city and then let out a load of trucks where the cargo is. So if you can imagine this one over here as an in and then one over here as an out. So what that also means is we need to make sure that we allow for the traffic for that as well. So looking at the city, I would like another train track that comes from this section here and runs along the side of the highway. We've cleared a space for it, so what we'll do is we've still got some hangover stuff over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the power plant, move the wastewater facilities, just to clear up some room. So give me 2 secs and I'll do that. Okay, so how do I want to handle it joining here? Because there could be goods coming from the outside. What I'm probably going to do is I'm going to do a little underground junction, just like I did here, but I'm just going to do it like either side of this bridge, I think. And there we have it. So I don't actually have any way. Do you remember how I told you to check the lines? We don't actually have any way of checking that apart from just double checking that trains can come in from each side. That's the only thing I can really check against for that. But you saw when I placed that in, the commercial was super happy. I just want to make sure that trains can go in and out of that. Well, there we have it, guys. The industry section with infrastructure. Its own on-off slip road, cargo terminal junctions, one here and another one in the other part of the city to ship the goods about. It's looking really nice. There's still room for expansion. There's still so much more I've got planned for this city. So join me next time. See you later. Bye.